here making probably the easiest truffle recipe I know, and definitely the best recipe for preserving fresh truffles that I have found. So this is based on Truffle Carpaccio, which you can find jars of these all over the place. I used to have jars that I would, take one or two from the country club that I worked at in the summer one year, and they don't taste like much. They have a truffle oil flavor, but they're made from summer truffles. They're relatively expensive, but they have to be sterilized to be able to be shelf stable because they have oil. Even then, they probably have like a 12-month shelf life sitting on the shelf. And because they're cooked, the flavor is not as good, but it is a great way to do it at home because you don't have to sterilize them. You can just put them in the fridge in oil. It is a fantastic way to preserve truffles because you get salted, slightly salted truffle slices that taste great, but also make their own rich truffle oil. And then they keep the flavor of the slices where the slices would lose flavor if you just, slice them or just kept them out of oil in a jar or something. So the recipe is so easy: 1 gram of kosher salt to an ounce of truffle. And that's rough. You can see here, I'm just putting a pinch of salt in, and that's all you have to do. You do want to make sure that you're using the correct kind of salt. You don't want to use like rock salt is basically the thing. So just get your slices. You can go a little bit thicker here and then just sprinkle some salt on. And you want to do this before you add oil to the jar because in order to be shelf stable, you need to season the truffles with a little bit of salt. That's just going to prevent them from going bad. And you can see on the left, I have ground up salt. In the middle, kind of coarse salt. That's a kosher salt. Both the kosher salts on the right are not ideal because they're too coarse and they're not going to dissolve, and you might just see them floating at the bottom of the jar. So you can use whatever salt you want, but grind it up, and that's going to diffuse and season the truffles a lot more easily and faster. Shake that jar around and then just cover the truffle slices in oil. You can use as much oil as you want. I'm just using, a little 8-ounce jar here, probably about 4 ounces of oil for an ounce of truffles. And I will top the jar off with extra truffle slices as I have them and just put a pinch of salt on them, let them float to the bottom. So many ways you can use this. Great, obviously, on eggs, any place you'd use truffle oil or fresh truffles. There it is on some gnocchi. You can see they get like a little chewy and sleek, and they're not going to be as crisp, but it's perfectly fine. You can also buzz the oil up with truffles to make truffle aioli, or like I did in one of my last videos, put them on toast. They love mild cheese, like that's burrata, or there's just little bocconcini mozzarella balls with pecan truffles preserved in oil. So good. So many different things that you can do with this. Probably the best way to preserve the fresh taste of truffles that I know. The full recipe, if you need that, is on my website. There's a link at the top of the video description for that. Thanks for watching.